Welcome back, everybody. So, if you don't know, Goldin Auctions just ended its elite video game pop culture auction back on Wednesday, February 23rd. If you're unfamiliar with Goldin Auctions, it's another big auction house similar to Heritage where high-end graded items are bought and sold. So as you can see here as I just scroll, 600,000, 216, 182,000. This was a big auction that just ended, so we're just going to do some analysis today on some of these end results and talk about the market. The first thing that was interesting about this auction to me, though, is that when it ended, there wasn't a whole lot of chatter about it. Usually in the Facebook groups or on Instagram, when one of these high-end auctions end, there's a ton of chatter about, oh, the results in the market, we're going up, we're going down. But when this one ended, there wasn't a whole lot of fanfare that followed. Now, I don't know if that means people care less, or if people just don't talk about Goldin as much, or maybe the Facebook groups and chatter doesn't mean anything. I don't know what it means specifically, but it was interesting to me that there wasn't a whole lot of chatter following the results of this auction. But with that out of the way, let's get into some concrete numbers here, some actual analysis, and we're just going to start off with the 9.2 B plus first print Legend of Zelda, $600,000. Now for actual comps on the first print Zelda, we've only seen one sell before. It was back on Heritage Auctions back on October 29th, and it sold for $705,000 in an 8.0 A. I think in this instance, we can all agree that the 9.2 box matters more than a B plus versus an A seal. Therefore, this copy should sell for more money than the 8.0 did back in October. And as you can see, that is absolutely not what happened here. Now, of course, this is also Heritage Auctions versus Goldin Auctions. Heritage Auctions is known for getting the highest prices at this point in time. Does that mean that this copy over on Goldin Auctions simply was at the wrong auction house at the wrong time? Maybe. Or it could just be that the market, even for these ultra rare high grade games, is in a bit of a slump period right now. Going back a bit further to the legendary July signature auction, we can see that the 9.0 A third print Zelda sold for $870,000. I think there were a lot of people out there expecting this one to at least eclipse this copy, at least pass this copy, sorry, and also pass this copy, which it just didn't. Whatever reason or excuse for why it didn't at this point in time is kind of moot. All you can really say is that it is a weaker result than we have had in the past, and when we're talking about these super high-end items, right, even removing two people from the buyer pool or two people from the bid can change the results by $100,000, $200,000. If all of a sudden one or two bidders don't show up for an auction, that literally could halve the price of the item. Of course, these items sell so infrequently though that there's no way to say that, oh, the next copy is going to sell for something like this. The next copy could go for $1 million. It honestly is very hard to predict when we're talking about these super high-end items that barely ever come to market. But anyways, that's enough on the Legend of Zelda there. The next one we had at $216,000 is a familiar face in Sonic the Hedgehog 9.6 A plus, $216,000. So Sonic is also undoubtedly just feeling the results of multiple copies coming to auction now ever since the first one hit Goldin Auctions. Remember back in September, Goldin Auctions had a 9.4 A made in Japan copy come up for auction, and it sold for $420,000. This is the copy that oh so famously has the rip here on the front. A lot of people love to mention that when they were talking about the grade rating, so yep, there's the famous ripped copy for $420,000, and that was made in Japan. The copy that just sold today, 9.6 A plus, it is a printed in Japan, so there is a slight variation there. Now, I am not confident if printed in Japan or made in Japan is the definitive first print on Sonic the Hedgehog. I'm not sure if anyone can say with 100% certainty at this time. If we go over to Heritage Auctions for Sonic, we can see they had a 9.6 A right here for $312,000 in October. So this is the same variation, better grade that already had sold less for the one on Goldin Auctions last time. And then in January 2022, there was a same variation, 9.6 B plus, that sold for $240,000. So this is now the 9.6 A plus, $216,000. So I think it is pretty clear that even though the condition of these Sonics coming to market is getting better relatively, they still are not surviving the fact that more of them are coming to market. We see this over and over again. I explained this through great detail in my top 5 worst WATA purchases. First to market almost always slams, and the next copies that follow, they generally don't do as well. The big exceptions to those rules are if we were to see a 9.8 A plus or A++ Sonic come to market, I fully expect that that would crush every previous record. As far as I know, there is no new Sonic the Hedgehog coming up on Heritage or Goldin for the next little bit at least. So we'll have to see what happens the next time one of them come to open market. I have no doubt that original print Sonic the Hedgehogs on Genesis are going to end up being pretty rare, but without actual pop reports, without actual data, it's getting really hard to nail down if should this be a $216,000 game, should this be an $80,000 game, and that's the guessing game that everyone's still playing. Either way, I mean, we're talking $200K for Sonic, $600K for Zelda. They're still extremely impressive sale prices. I don't think the seller could necessarily be upset about the prices that those items ended at. Now, moving into the third biggest sale here, this is the one that I was actually the most excited to see where it was gonna land. We finally got a 9.8 A+ Legend of Zelda Link to the Past come to market, and it sold for almost $200,000. Now, I didn't know what to expect on this game. I'm pretty positive if you would have asked me before the auction, I would have said a price higher than $182,000. I think I remember saying $250 to $300 for some people. So even for myself, looking at this market and trying to guess the relative values of some of these items, even I shoot way too high sometimes. If we want to see the comps for Link to the Past, we of course have the July auction copy, 9.2 A+ that sold for $96,000. Pretty soon, I'm just gonna have to stop even referencing the July signature auctions because honestly, most things that sold in that July auction, that's the auction that had the 1.5 million Mario 64. Most of the comps from back in that auction are just so heavily inflated compared to the next sales that these numbers from back in July are becoming less and less relevant as we continue to move forward. So if we go to the more recent sales on it, we can see 36,000 October 29th for 9.4A and 52,800 9.4A at the end of January. The interesting thing about Link to the Past though is that in the 3 or 4 years that these high-end auction houses have been taking the games, we've only really seen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sealed copies come up. 8 sealed copies of Link to the Past come up for sale, and I mean the highest graded copy we've seen thus far prior to this 9.8 selling on Goldin, we had seen 9.4A. So there was a lot of hype to finally get the first 9.8 A+. And if we just consider that it sold for basically 4 times what a 9.4A sells for, relatively speaking, $182,000 sounds pretty damn good. And of course, right, there is still the chance that a perfect copy does exist. This is only 9.8 A+, so it could very well be that the most elite buying pool doesn't want to risk purchasing the second best copy if the WATA pop reports do indeed show that a 9.8 A++ exists. That is fully a scenario that people would want to protect themselves from. We saw a similar predicament take place 9 months ago where there was a trade for a 9.6 A++ Pokemon Red, which was, at the time, the highest known copy that existed. Well, of course, months later, 9.8 A++s came to the market. The value of the 9.6 plummeted thereafter. Everyone out here is playing speculative chess with everyone else and no one wants to be caught holding the bag on something like this. So now obviously myself and many others don't have $200,000 to even be playing in this market, but it's always interesting to see where the money is flowing because a lot of relative analysis can be done to help you even at the lower levels of spending. We had a Left Bros first production of Super Mario Bros. 3 sell for $146,000, 9.2A, which is a bit interesting because back in November 2020, we had a 9.2 A+ sell for $156,000. So that does put us over a year removed from this sale for $156,000, which is the record for a Left Bros, I believe. And now a 9.2A, which is lesser condition copy, sold for $146,000. So clearly there is some appreciation there. 9.2A versus 9.2A+, almost selling for the same price, but not a huge price difference. And I do wonder if the pop report coming out does have something to do with that. Now people know that there are 3 copies better than the 9.2 copies, and even in 9.2 there are 3 copies that exist. When this one for $156,000 sold, there were no population reports. So it does stand to reason that the pop reports coming out maybe put a little bit of a ceiling on the 9.2 copies because the people who really want to spend are waiting for the 9.4 to hit the market. And when we talk about these first print Mario Bros. 3 specifically, there is quite a bit of rarity attached to them, especially out of the total population of Mario Bros. 3s that exist. Despite Mario Bros. 3 being literally the most graded NES game at the time of publication on November 1st. The Left Bros only has 16 in the population and only has 9 above a 9.0. There is a lot of rarity there, and Left Bros is always going to be in our conversations when we're talking about super expensive, super collectible NES games. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out is pretty interesting here at almost $150,000, 9.4 A+ circle seal with a little Rev A symbol right there. As far as I know, this is the highest graded copy of a circle seal that has come to auction, and this is the second highest selling price ever for any Mike Tyson Punch-Out. The only one that passes it is a perfect condition oval seal Tyson that sold for $312,000 back in October. As far as round seal Tysons go, there are 6 of them in 9.4 condition. So this one that sold is not the highest one that exists. So the ceiling on this game is a lot higher than what we even saw today. And that's not even talking about these two 9.4 earlier revisions ones that exist. I don't believe we've seen the ceiling on Mike Tyson's Punch-Out yet, and this is another NES game where we're going to continually be talking about it for years to come. Coming in at $130,000 right beside it, we have the highest graded Duck Hunt in any revision. 9.6 A+ is the peak. There's only one 9.6 on the entire population report, so that's pretty insane. It is not a hang tab copy of the game, but still, I mean, 9.6 A+ circle sealed Duck Hunt, absolutely beautiful. $133,000, I'm not surprised at all. If we want to talk about comps on Duck Hunt though, back in July 2020, a 9.4 A+ sold for $14,400. So a bit less than 2 years later, we see the highest graded one sell for almost 10 times the amount. That's pretty crazy. Super Smash Bros. N64 9.4 A++, $117,000. This one did exceed my expectations. If we just look back here, we had the July copy, same exact grade, sell for $144,000. But then the next one that came up was a 9.4 A+, and it sold for almost half. So now that we went back to the 9.4 A++, it sold for another $40,000. I genuinely wasn't expecting that. This is a huge sale for Smash Bros. An oval Legend of Zelda 9.6 A+ sold for $115,000. We have seen this one sell twice before in this same grade for $156,000 actually. So a little bit down there on the Zelda sale. Super Mario Bros. Hang Tab 7.0A, a 7.0 hang tab there, still sold for $86,000. Look at that. Interestingly, for Mario Bros, we actually haven't seen many, if any, lower grade hang tab copies come to market. So 86,000 kind of sets the lower grade floor on it right now. And Super Mario Bros. Is a lot like Mario Bros. 3, where if you want a hang tab print, there's only 18 of them total. So if we get into the actual rare sought after variants of some of these more common NES games, there's just not many to go around. Very cool to see there. Now, of course, I can't do individual analysis that deep on every single game that did sell in this auction. I think there were over 200 of them, so we are going to speed up a little bit now. Mario Kart 64 here for $70,000. This is more what I was expecting Smash Brothers to do. On Heritage Auctions just in December, end of December there, we had a 9.4 A+ sell for $100,000. To me, that's insanity. So seeing the better condition copy come down almost $30,000, that makes sense to me. I understand that these are the highest, most popular N64 games here with Smash, Mario Kart 64, but I can't put much confidence in this kind of pricing for only 9.4s until population reports come out. I would be terrified of paying these prices right now until population reports come out. Talking about N64 is years different than talking about SNES and talking about NES. I just don't like the risk factor of more copies existing than people are giving credit for. I do believe this is the second most expensive Metroid sale ever here at $64,000 for a late print 9.6 A+. Cool to see on that. First Metroid, obviously insanely collectible. John Madden Football, Super Nintendo, VGA 85 Plus for $57,000. It's not something that I can get behind. I still think there's a little bit too much Madden hype still coming from his death, coming from the massive Genesis sale at Heritage. $60,000 for this is gonna fully depend on what population reports say. The people who track sports titles closely, who track the John Madden football games, do say that finding an original Super Nintendo John Madden football is hard to do. I can't say myself if it is or isn't because it's not something I've tracked over the years. It's a game where I'm very interested to see what the population reports are going to say. This one was really cool to see. We finally had a sealed black box Donkey Kong come to market. This is the first one we've ever had come to market, even in all of the years of price explosions here. And it was a 6.0 B, and it's still sold for $55,000. And this also plays with Kid Icarus here, which is a 7.5A. This is a hang tab first print of Kid Icarus. 46,800. These are games here showing that just getting the rarity alone is worth more than the condition. If these were high condition copies that we would have seen sold, the sky's the limits on games like this. Very, very cool to see any copies come up for market. I just brought up the Donkey Kong Pop Report so you guys can better understand. There are 3 total copies graded, 2 of which are hang tab copies. Somewhere out there, someone is sitting on a 9.0. That's insane. Zelda 2, 9.8 A+ selling for $54,000. That is a rock bottom price compared to selling for $100,000 back in October. Zelda 2 did not fare well this time around. Double Dragon, $44,000. That's pretty darn good for the 9.4A. Wolverine kind of crushed. The single highest graded copy of the game, 43,200. Back on the Pop Report, we have 14 total copies graded of Wolverine. It's not a game that I tracked over the years, not really a game I ever cared about, but obviously comic book superhero Marvel, yeah, very good sale. Outselling frickin' Tournament Fighters right beside it for 42,000. Kind of funny to see, hey? That's crazy. VGA 85 Castlevania Oval Seal, $31,000. Cool to see where a VGA copy stands on this. That is one cool thing about Goldin is they do take VGA games, but I guess Heritage will soon too, so that doesn't really matter. A 9.6 A++ Turtles for $31,000, where the 9.6 is rotated 30 degrees. That's pretty cool. Mortal Kombat 9.8 A++. I'm not sure if a perfect copy has sold before. I don't believe there's one over on Heritage Auctions, so that might be the new standard, new highest price for Mortal Kombat on Sega Genesis. Very solid sale on Mortal Kombat. High grade tennis here, 9.4A+, selling for $29,000. Black Box getting some love even in the mid productions. Highest graded copy of Super C, they're just calling it Pop 1 of 1 right on the website here. $26,000 for that. Blades of Steel 9.4A+ for $24,000. Damn, I did not realize Blades of Steel was that expensive. Just looking over at Heritage Auctions too, apparently a Blades of Steel hasn't come up since March 9th, 2021. So I'm sure that also plays a role into the price we just saw, and this is, I think, the highest one to come to market as well. Kobe Bryant NBA courtside 9.4A++ does $20,000. Like I said at the very top of this video, the Goldin auctions crowd is primarily sports oriented. I think that has a lot to do with the end price here. NBA courtside on N64, not a rare game. Not one that I would recommend you chase after at this kind of price points. Pop Report will likely eat this game alive when it comes out. Like just looking at the side-by-side here, I could have a 9.6A Super Metroid for $20,000 or frickin' Kobe Bryant courtside. I don't know. For myself, it's an easy choice on the Super Metroid, but let me know in the comment section. Is this a close fight for you? Would you rather have the Kobe Bryant? I'm curious. Maybe I'm crazy. And now I do just have to make sure that I'm only talking about items from this auction because there are a couple items here that did end before, so I'm making sure to only talk about the ones that ended February 23rd, which does bring us into a Circle Seal Mario Bros. 2 9.0A+ for $18,000. That's actually down quite a bit. Back in April 2021, a 9.0A sold for $39,000. So in almost a year's time, the value of this one has cut in half compared to this sale over here on Goldin. And that is on a Circle Seal Mario 2 there. That is on the good variant, if you want to call it that. Pokemon Emerald there, 9.8A+ for $17,000. That, what a fall from grace for Pokemon Emerald. This is another one right here that just blew me away when I saw the results. NFL Blitz on PlayStation 1, 9.8A. 15,840. Maybe I am completely lost on rare PlayStation games, but I had no expectation, no idea that Blitz might command this kind of price. I didn't know Blitz fans were this serious. I didn't know this game was that expensive. Maybe this is a one-off sale. I don't know what to think about this sale. This one blew me away at $16,000. VGA 90 of Super Mario Bros. 3 for $14,000. A bit surprising this isn't worth more. I feel like if this was crossed over to WATA, you'd probably just sell it for more. So here's probably a decent crossover, 9.6 A+ at the end of January, sold for $22,000. Now, unless there was something wrong with this Mario 3 specifically, I definitely would have crossed it over to WATA before putting it up for auction. Donkey Kong Country 9.4 A++, selling for a much more understandable price in $14,400. DuckTales 2, old time rare NES game there, 9.08, $13,000. Coming down, we have Ocarina of Time in 9.4 A++, selling for $12,000. And right beside it, actually, we have the December 8th sale of an Ocarina of Time Collector's Edition. I actually did expect this non-Collector's Edition to do a bit better. It has been coming up for auction a lot less frequently than the Collector's Edition, but maybe only in super high grades people care about it more. I did think this was going to get a little bit more behind it though. Final Fantasy VII 9.6 A++ Masterpiece misprint version, selling for only $10,200. That price surprises me a little bit. 9.6 A++ is damn near perfect. This is a game where we might see a massive gap between the 9.8s and the 9.6s, just because in general FF7 isn't going to be that rare. So it might be one of those things where the 9.8s really have a price difference against the 9.6s. When the game itself isn't that rare, the conditional nuance becomes even more important. Kind of crazy, right beside it there, Jordan vs. Bird, 8.5 A+ on NES, $10,200, same price. You guys know that I have to talk about Fire Emblem here, 9.8 A++. Finally had a perfect copy of this game come up for auction and sold for almost $10,000. Now, obviously, I do own a couple of graded copies of Fire Emblem, so I'm a little bit biased here, but I do expect Fire Emblem to be one of the more expensive GBA games, especially once population reports come out and show that Fire Emblem on Game Boy Advance is pretty damn rare. But like I said, I'm extremely biased, so take whatever I say about this game with a grain of salt. Almost just as cool, right beside it here is a perfect condition Battletoads on Genesis, $9,600. That's pretty crazy. Symphony of the Night, 9.4 A+, $9,600. Down a ton from where the last one sold. I think it was like $18,000. This might be a 50% haircut right there. Another old time rare NES game there, Mighty Final Fight, 9.4 A for $9,600. Coming down, we have Baseball Stars, $9,300. Someone was talking to me about this one in the Discord saying they didn't think Baseball Stars was rare or gonna sell for a lot. Yeah, Baseball Stars pulls the premium. I personally don't understand it. The game means nothing to me, but man, Baseball Stars has its fans. Also, Resident Evil Director's Cut kind of surprised me. Only an 8.5 A+, selling for $9,400. There must be a lot of inherent rarity on finding a Resident Evil Director's Cut, but I'm personally not familiar with it. They did have an original Game Boy here, 85+, selling for $9,000. Pretty cool. And here we go. There actually was an Ocarina of Time Collector's Edition, exact same grade, sold for $9,000. So I was talking earlier, the non-Collector's Edition did outsell the Collector's Edition by $3,000. There you go. Coming down more here, we have the Sonic the Hedgehog Classic Edition, 9.6 A++, still almost taking in $10,000 there. Coming over here, we have the Game Boy Color Pokemon Yellow, I believe on Certified Link, and 85+ of this had just sold for $10,000. Might be a deal here that the 90+ only sold for $8,000. I'm a bit surprised myself it didn't get a little bit more juice on it. Same with this Mario Party here. This is actually the #1 game in this auction where if I had the money available at this time, I would have bought this one. 9.0 A+, selling for only $7,800, where if we go back to Heritage Auctions here, a Mario Party 8.0 A+ at the end of January had sold for $10,200. So this right here is a much better condition copy for much less money. It's basically a win-win for whoever bought this one compared to the comp that took place on Heritage. I will own a Mario Party someday. Someday I'll get one. 9.8 A+ Kirby's Adventure, $7,200 there. Interesting to see where that fell. Zelda the Minish Cap, 9.8 A++, $6,600. I just like to point out that Fire Emblem did sell for $3,000 more than even Zelda Minish Cap. Pretty rare, pretty expensive. Get your Fire Emblems. Also, this Pokemon Red 9.4 A+ sold for $6,000. I know who purchased this game, and I think he got a splendid deal on it. I even consulted him on it, so finally we are at points where Pokemon games, especially these Pokemon Red early prints, are getting kind of justifiable. This is already down like 75% from the peaks. How much more can it fall? I mean, I guess it could cut in half again. but at some point a floor will establish on these games. I personally like that price quite a bit to get into it. I'm probably gonna buy a Pokemon Red myself here at some point. It's one of the few I still don't own of the Pokemon games. And we're so late in the video now that God knows no one's watching, so it's not like anyone's gonna hear this and start swooping up these Pokemon Reds. I think we can all feel safe about that. Super Mario 64 VGA 80 selling for only $5,300. The hype on Mario 64 is kind of over now, unless we're talking about super high grades. We're getting all these mid to high grade copies. People are understanding that you can get a copy. The $1.5 million comp is becoming completely irrelevant. Mario 64 has done its entire market cycle almost at this point. Perfect condition copy here of Call of Duty Finest Hour only pulls $5,100. This is another one where I think that comp was like $18,000, $21,000. It's just a meaningless comp at this point. This is a much more accurate representation of where this game sits in the market. Dragon Warrior 3 8.5A $5,100. Not a bad price if you're just looking to get a copy. Very few of these ones exist. The Star Fox Super Weekend cartridge $4,300 for 7.5. I'm yet to see like any 8s or 9s on the Star Fox cartridge. I'm curious to see how high one of these could get if we actually get like a really high one come to market. VGA 95 copies on both Oracle of Seasons and Oracle of Ages. They're both non-foil prints there, both sold for almost $4,000. Bubble Bobble 9.4A $3,900 there. Contra Hardcore 9.8A++ $3,900. Very cool. You can get some really cool games here in the $4,000 range. We also have Pokemon Gold 9.6A+ $3,600. Again, like it's getting to the point where you can enter into these higher grade Pokemon games again at decent prices. No longer do you have to pay 5 figures to have a high grade gold. Very cool Tekken 3 here. This is a Tekken game that I grew up playing. $3,600 to 9.8A++. Pocky and Rocky, actually rare SNES game. $3,600 for the 9.0A. Madden 99, a game with very little rarity at all. 9.8A++, $3,300. See, that's why I'm still a bit scared of that 85 plus Super Nintendo one. I just feel like there's still too much Madden hype in the air. 6 months, 12 months from now, I think those games are going to be cheaper than they are now. Maybe in 2-3 years they're going to be higher than they are now, but not a gamble that I want to make personally. Here's Pokemon Silver as well, 9.4A+ for $3,000. Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories, another game I hope to get at some point, $2,500 there for the 9.8A+. Wait, Final Fantasy VIII, 9.8A+. What an absolute snag on Final Fantasy VIII. Here's Gotcha Force right beside it as well, hey, $2,000 for the 9.8A+. No one cares about actual rare GameCube, just slap frickin' Mario on the cover. Gotcha Force is a dead game. But overall, looking at the results of this Goldin auction, it seems like it did pretty okay overall. It doesn't look like there's a ton of items that just sold for absolute pennies on the dollar, nor does it look like there's a ton of stuff that just exploded. We're just getting more comps into the market. We're getting more confidence as to where we should bid on certain things. I mean, there's always going to be a little bit of madness still as we sort all of this out, but just looking at this auction from a top-down view, it seems like it went pretty decent overall. Like I said, there wasn't a ton of chatter from other people, so I'm very curious to hear how you think this auction went. Put it down in the comments. I'd love to talk to you guys about it. But I am going to leave you guys here. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for tuning in.